Hey guys, it's Ross and welcome to 6 News. So today we're going over the brand new operator that's coming to Rainbow Six Siege, and that is Sam Fisher, otherwise known in-game as Zero. We now have all the information and I've actually had early access to be able to play him for a couple of days. So let's go over everything about this new operator. So before we even get to his gadget, let's talk about his loadout. So he is a 2 armor, 2 speed operator and he is joining the attacking team. And he brings to Rainbow Six Siege a brand new gun. This is the SC3000K. This is a very enjoyable weapon to use, and I think a lot of people are going to love it. Other options though for primaries is the MP7, which kind of comes with this slightly olive custom skin on it as default. And for sidearm, you can use the 5.7 USG pistol. Now, during the Ubisoft presentation, they gave me and other YouTubers and press, they said this was specifically an integrated suppressor in this pistol. It's just a normal suppressor on the gun, but you just can't take it off in the loadout options. It's a bit of a pity. I did a speculation video a while back talking about what Sam Fisher might be like if he were to join Rainbow Six Siege, and I did put forward 2 different pistols that could work. One was the Maxim, which looks awesome. It would totally fit in with Sam Fisher, and they already have it licensed for Breakpoint, so I was kind of hoping maybe they could license it for Siege. Potentially though, it would be far too expensive, who knows. The other one was actually a normal pistol, but it just had a actual integrated suppressor in it. This would have worked wonders in the game too. Now, it's nothing too special, it's just a normal pistol with an integrated suppressor, but it would still be a step up from what we've actually got with this pistol. And to make it easier for development as well, I would have just made it a matte black pistol, no customization for cosmetics, and I would have just given it the same recoil as the pistol, so no extra development there as well. But anyway, that hasn't happened, so let's move on. And then for secondary gadgets, of course, Sam Fisher, known for stealth, brings frag grenades and a claymore as well, which is actually, I think, a perfectly good option. It works well with his gadget. And who doesn't like fragging the enemy or having a nice claymore to stop runouts? But anyway, that's his basic loadout. Let's talk about his gadget. So this thing is really fun to play with, and I didn't even get to really scratch the surface about what it can potentially do and how best you can use it. So it's called the Argus launcher, and it's able to be shot out of this little handheld device. He has 4 shots from it. Each one will send out a camera which will penetrate through soft walls or reinforced walls, and the camera will go both ways so you can actually view either side. Now, if it hits a solid object that can't be penetrated, then it will only go one way, but still, it's very useful even in that configuration. This gadget also has a bonus, and that is the ability to fire off a single laser in order to either destroy a gadget or do 5 damage to a player, and he gets 4 of these cameras, so that's potentially 4 gadgets you can take out with them. And because this thing can pop up anywhere in a room pretty much, you can take out a lot of stuff or just simply observe the enemy moving around really well. Now, of course, this device does have some counters, so Jaeger's active defense will take it out. Wamai's magnets will grab it, but the interesting thing about this is Wamai's magnets will not destroy it. So I actually think that if used correctly, you can waste the utility of Wamai just by firing these into the room. Because you have 4 of them, you do have a couple to spare. And because you know the camera's actually going to survive, at least you might be able to get some intel or shoot another gadget when you're in the room using the magnet to get there. So yeah, I actually think that this guy is a counter to Wamai rather than Wamai being a counter to him. But the magnet certainly will grab the camera, just not destroy it. Other counters are electrical effects, so if you want to shoot through a reinforced wall, you cannot do it if it's electrified. The same as firing into barbed wire, that will not work as well. And mute jammers also jam it if they're in range. But all of these kind of counters can be easily mitigated by just firing it through a ceiling or stuff like that isn't going to get in the way of any of these countermeasures. So yeah, this guy's pretty good, and his gadget is really good as well. But the simplest counter to this gadget is simply just shooting it. It also creates quite a bright green light, especially the further you are away from it. So it's quite easy to identify if you have a decent range. When you're actually closer to it, I would say it's harder to see. Another thing is this gadget makes the iconic Splinter Cell goggle noise when it is activated, so you're going to know as a defender when it punches through the wall. But if you're not in the room when it actually comes through, you might not spot it so easily. But let's go ahead and actually switch the counters around now and talk about what this gadget actually counters, because of course it can shoot gadgets, so it can counter anything that it can actually shoot and destroy. It doesn't do enough damage to destroy Frostmat's or Maestro's turret, but if Maestro's turret does open up, he can shoot inside with that single laser if you get it right and destroy Maestro's turret that way. But the things that it can destroy is all normal gadgets that you can usually just shoot with one shot. That includes opening up mirror windows, which either you can do by shooting underneath the mirror window and shooting up into the canister, or just being somewhere else in the room or poking through the ceiling and shooting the mirror window that way. It's a really good counter against mirror windows. Now, I did try to find other interactions with other gadgets, and the one I really wanted to be a thing was Muzzy's Pest, because this guy's gadget's powerful and versatile, and he has 4 of them, so I was kind of hoping to be quite a good hard counter, and I really wanted that to be Muzzy, because I wanted to be able to take over the cameras with the little pest, but unfortunately that was not the case. I do hope maybe during the test server or later perhaps Muzzy will be able to take these over, because it just seems to be like a no-brainer to me, because it's a perfect counter. It would turn this gadget against the attackers, and it just makes sense, I think. So I do hope they add that in, but right now that is unfortunately not a thing. There's also certainly some bugs. This one I found was really funny, where you're actually able to impale other operators' gadgets by shooting through the wall behind them. So first one tested us on was the bulletproof cam, and then we went all the way up to Maestro's turret, which looked absolutely amazing with these gadgets impaled right through them. So of course that's a bug, and that'll get fixed during the test server period. But certainly it did start a whole fetish for us where we tried to impale everything possible with this gadget. So we also tried Melusi as well. We also actually found out that you could pull the gadget back off the wall and the cameras would be left there. Wondering how long these cameras can end up being if you manage to stack gadgets up. It also goes through castle barricades. This is kinda useful but kinda not. And also, interestingly enough, with the castle barricade, it doesn't leave a hole, even though of course there must have been a hole for all the the information to get backwards. So yeah, bit weird. It also goes into deployable shields, and it also goes into Goyu shields, but it won't detonate it, but you can shoot and detonate them as well. So there's that. Now let's talk details of this gadget. I found this quite hard to kind of get up to speed on. I think there's going to be a lot of complexities, a lot of really cool positioning. Like, you can get this to places you cannot get a Valkyrie cam. Now, there's some major stuff that you can use to your advantage here. So you can fire it into cars and stuff like that to be very hard to spot and be able to keep eye on the enemy without them knowing you're in there. But when it comes to the actual details of this gadget, that's where it shines. So you'll notice on the HUD and on the scope of the weapon, either zoomed in or hip firing, you can actually see whether it's going to penetrate a surface and appear on the other side, as it shows 2 arrows. If it's only showing 1, it's only going to appear on the one side of the wall. This is really good, and it's brilliant for shooting down, because, or even up actually, because sometimes there's partitions, there's big beams, especially on Chalet where you've got these big wooden beams. You're able to kind of identify it. It's kind of like a stud finder, because you can scan the wall and actually see where you're not going to be able to shoot down. And of course there could be other things down there like filing cabinets or servers or stuff that go up to the the ceiling, and you can't actually view down, so it lets you know that beforehand, which is really good. Also, when you are going through the cameras, you can also tell when your laser hasn't been shot and has been shot, as the reticle actually changes. To begin with, it's kind of got these additional reticles around the circle in the middle, but after you fire, it's just got a dot, so you don't even have to look at the ammo count to wonder if that one still has a laser in it. You can just look at the reticle, so that's really handy too. I love these little details. They really thought about this quite a lot, and it shows really well. Now when it comes to using this gadget as a player, it's a lot of fun, and also it's got quite a big learning curve. The reason for this is To begin with, I was thinking very two-dimensionally when I was using it, and I was putting it in very simple positions. But by the third day, I was like firing it in through the top of windows, into ceilings. I wasn't even entering the freaking building, and I was getting so many line of sights on the actual objective because I was, just because this thing's so bloody accurate. You can fire it from so far away, put it exactly where you want it to be. So you can be outside a window, you can be repelling, or you can be standing miles away. You fire it through there, up into a ceiling, up into an objective room, or you could even be on a different floor, blow a hole in the floor, then shoot it down through the floor into another floor, into the objective room. There is so much you can do with this thing, and it's so fun to use, and I can see a lot of really cool spots. Like I say, it's easier to place than a Valk cam. Although you can't pick it back up like Valkyrie, you don't really have to, because you can be that accurate with it right off the bat that you don't have to worry so much about it. Now, of course, on maps or objective sites where there is limited ceilings that are destructible, then he does get weaker. This does become an issue, so it might come down to bomb site picks and stuff like that, where you think the enemy are going to be. This guy might be more powerful or less powerful depending on how you play him. But again, there's other places, there's walls, there's reinforced walls that sometimes have a soft patch above them. This is another place that he can excel. He can get in that soft bit at the top, potentially take out batteries or Kaid's electric claw. Like I say, this guy has a lot of potential, and he's a good addition. Like, he actually, being Sam Fisher, he does actually come through as being a really excellent character, and I think he's going to be really enjoyable to play. But like I say, I've only had 3 days with him, so we'll see how this goes. Of course, you get this kind of hype when you get early access and get to play for a couple of days, but you don't really feel how it's going to be in the long term based on that. So I don't want to get too hyped about it, but I'm enjoying him so far. Anyway guys, that is pretty much it for Sam Fisher, the new operator called Zero in Rainbow Six Siege. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I've got a video on this channel on the brand new sites, and I've got a video on the 6 News channel where I actually round up all the changes and along with all the new features that are added to Rainbow Six Siege, because they're adding a lot with this season. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.